the story of
I think they
Pittsburgh.
missed the playoffs by at least 15 points.
15 points is Welcome back to another episode, you beauties. We're recording this on a Friday, so if anything feels out of date, that's why I'm going to be out of town. Saturday, I'm not going to have time to record in my hotel room, so we're here. We have a jam-packed and fun episode for you guys because I believe it was Monday that Mackenzie Blackwood got acquired by the Colorado Avalanche from the San Jose Sharks. The Avalanche acquiring Mackenzie Blackwood is going to help put this team into that they can sort of become cup contenders as the season goes on if they can get healthier, if they can get the right pieces going around. Because, frankly, getting rid of Alexander Georgiev was a huge W move, in my opinion. The Colorado Avalanche, if they're going to go out and get Mackenzie Blackwood, they were going to have to get rid of Georgiev in the trade. And I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for saying that if the Avs made the cap work, they were going to go get Mackenzie Blackwood, and they're going to have to include Georgiev in the trade, and all of that happened. And I think the Avalanche, that's a huge move for them, and they needed goaltending help badly. They got it in a guy on which who was facing 40 shots a game in San Jose and putting up a 9-10 save percentage. Props to him. He goes to a contender. I'm so happy for him and the Avalanche.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'm curious about to see with Colorado is the first couple of games are kind of the team's got to get a feel for how he plays, and I think once they can trust him a little more, I think it's gonna allow Colorado to play much looser, and I think they could score even more goals if they're not worried about their goalie letting in 2 or 3 bad goals a game. I think they're gonna play loose and push the play a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're in the thick of things in the Western Conference, and if they can make a push in that Central Division, because right now they're tied with the Dallas Stars for that third spot. The only problem is that the Dallas Stars have 3 games in hand on the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are tied for the most games played in the Western Conference. Sorry, they're tied for the second most behind San Jose, there's 32. But still, though, I mean, Colorado is in a good spot where sure you have Winnipeg and Minnesota up at the 1 and 2 spots of the Central Division, and Colorado has the pieces to go and make a run. And we were talking about it before the season started. It was like Colorado was going to somehow sneak in there. We're going to have Dallas and Winnipeg. And then the Wild come out of nowhere and start beating every single opponent that comes their way. We had the Predators up there in the conversation. They have 22 points. They ended up winning last night. Props to them. But still, 2-5-3 in their last 10. So the Colorado Avalanche, after starting the season off poorly, because half their team was on goddamn IR for crying out loud. They had McCarr, Rantanen, and McKinnon, and everybody else was hurt at some point.
I mean, who knows what happens if they somehow get Landeskog back and he looks like somewhat of his old self? That would be kind of insane.
I mean, if he does come back, I don't know how long it's going to take him because it's been 2 years since he's last played a hockey game. 2.5 years, actually.
Oh, I think he'll start in the AHL on a conditioning stint just to get some ice. I mean, you're right. He hasn't played in the game in over 2 years. He's got to get used to the speed and the physicality of it. And he might play a couple games in the AHL and go yeah, I can't do this. My body just isn't what it used to be, and I can't play at this speed anymore. I mean, I hope not. I hope he gets another chance, but yeah, he's still got a lot of work to do to get back on the ice. It's not a given that he's coming back.
Yeah, it's not a given. And sure, they might be able to use him now, but if I'm the Avalanche, if I'm a fan, part of the team, whatever, I'm not banking on Landeskog to be back to his former self. Personally, I think he might be a shell of himself just because of, like I've stated, how long he's been out. And even if he does come back and he's half of what he once was, that's still better than not having him at all because it's on ice stuff that you seem to be missing from time to time, but also it's the leadership too. I know McKinnon and McCarr and Rantanen and all these vets that are in the room now that have grown as leaders, have grown on and off the ice and kind of have taken control of that locker room. But the Avalanche have been missing Landeskog for the past 2 years, and at some points it's been apparent. It was like that when Nichushkin ended up actually going through that whole suspension thing when he ended up getting into the player assistant program, whatever, in the playoffs. And
that might have killed them in the playoffs last year.
That was the leading point scorer in the entire NHL playoffs, mind you, at that time. The Avalanche were
Nathan
rolling.
McKinnon have a quote where he's after that happened, it was yeah, we just lost it.
They were deflated. Mentally, they were gone after that. They were not the same team. Especially like they got told in the locker room about an hour before puck drop too, which is crazy to me. But yeah,
Hmm.
like missing a guy like Landeskog in those moments, for example, like that's where you can use your captain in Landeskog. And I know McKinnon's been like the honorary captain.
Hmm.
He's not officially having the seal, whatever, because Landeskog still is on the fence of he's trying to come back if he can. But the Colorado Avalanche, 17 and 14 right now, 34 points. If they can make a run at things with Blackwood, I wouldn't be shocked. And again, this was the goaltender that the Colorado Avalanche needed.
I mean, I don't think Blackwood's that big of an upgrade, honestly, over
Oh,
Georgiev.
really? No, I think he's a massive upgrade over Georgiev.
I mean, he's never been a full-time starter.
I know, but like he was in San Jose and on that shit team, he played good. And maybe it's because he faced so many shots, he was being able to get in a rhythm. And it might be a little bit different when he comes onto a playoff contending team and he's asked to do more than what he was on San Jose. That can hinder him a bit. We'll see about that.
I
But
mean, he is replacing an NHL All-Star.
and Alexander Georgiev. So I mean, we'll see. Time will only tell because this could be like I think it'll be great for the Avalanche, but like you brought up, maybe it bites the Avalanche in the ass, where it's just like basically you still have like a Georgiev in net because Blackwood, when he was a full time starter in New Jersey, wasn't all that impressive. Now I know that was a few years ago, but still.
Now, I have a question for you. I'm
Go
curious
ahead.
to see your answer. Do you think, with the way this Colorado Avalanche team is constructed right now, they can win a Stanley Cup this year? Or do they need to make more
Oh.
moves? Do they need to acquire another guy at the deadline? Is this team enough?
I think it's gonna take a team at the deadline. Hold on. I'm gonna look. I'm bringing up their lineup right now for myself just to take a look. But I think they're gonna need to make another move at least. Um, because
I think they need another bottom six guy.
I think they needed another bottom six guy. I think their blue line is okay. I think I would get another bottom six guy before you touch the blue line. I love their center depth. Don't touch the center depth at all. Um, but I mean. Do you maybe get like a fourth line grinder to help you out on the bottom? Maybe throw a mid round pick in them. Maybe throw in like a C level prospect at best. Maybe like
I mean, if I'm Colorado, I'm calling some of the bottom feeder teams in the league for asking for some veterans. You know, Chicago, maybe Buffalo, a guy like Jason Zucker would be a
yeah.
good fit on that team. You know, they have about $5 million in cap space, and I'm sure teams will be willing to eat a little bit of salary, even on a $4 million contract, if they get like an extra round, if it turns it from a fourth round pick to a third round pick, something like that. So I mean, there'll be vets available, so that they'll have, especially from some of the bottom feeder teams who are going to be out of it by the deadline. So they'll have some options. But I agree with you. I do think they need to make another acquisition. I mean, mind you, Miles Wood is still out on injury. Do we have any
He's
timetable on
out.
when he'll be back?
I don't know when he's gonna be back, but he's gonna be back around maybe when he got hurt. He was out about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, he'll help when he comes back.
oh, he was on an absolute tear when he was in the lineup, and then unfortunately got hurt, and then needed to be out a little bit long term. I'm going to stick in the Western Conference with the Vancouver Canucks. They're currently in a huge dogfight in the Pacific Division. They're only 2 points back of the LA Kings, who are second in the Pacific Division. The Oilers are in third right now at 36 points. Canucks sit at 35. And on top of it, there's rumors going around that Brock Besser is going to be looking for about what JT Miller is getting at an $8 million a year contract. It's going to be about a 7 to 8 year deal for Brock Besser.
They have about $8 million in cap space right now. I'm not sure if JT Miller's contract is counting against the cap right now. He is on leave from the team, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's like an exemption window where he's temporarily not against the cap or not. Someone in the comments can probably let me know about that. But even so, I mean, some of these contracts I've found out the last few years. You know, Pedersen's getting 11.6. Uh, Quinn Hughes 7.8. That's a bargain for Quinn Hughes.
Quinn
Jeez.
Hughes right now is my Norris favorite. I don't care about Kale McCarr. Quinn
The
Hughes right
fact
now is
that
being
less than $8 million is insane.
it's ridiculous. It's a steal. And like the thing that's the Canucks are doing right now is like I get you gave Pedersen that huge deal. You have JT Miller on that huge deal. And then if you go ahead and give Brock Besser another an $8 million deal, like what are we doing? We have four players basically at $8+ million, and then One of them's at $11 million. The other one's just under $8 million. So you're stuck there at almost $40 million between four players, and that's not going to work. They tried it in Toronto, not working. We're going to see it in Vancouver if this happens. It's not going to work. And I get you want to keep the star power. You want to keep the superstars on your team for as long as possible, which is ideal if you're the Vancouver Canucks. But there's a problem is that you need to learn how to build around those pieces while keeping those players around. Like the Vancouver Canucks, I get giving Pettersson the $11 million deal. How he was playing before he signed that contract last season was fine. I think that contract's going to come back and bite them in the ass personally.
I mean,
I
he's been
mean,
playing better lately.
but I get that, but Pettersson banked on himself to play really good, and he played really well. And then when that contract came, he kind of started getting some knee problems. And I think this going into the season, he was still dealing with those knee problems. I don't think he's still fully healthy yet. And if he is, it just happened recently. I think he came into the season, into training camp, with that knee issue that he was dealing with the entire postseason all summer, and just kind of stuck it out, which kind of hurt him in the short term. And I think that's what's making this $11 million deal look really bad on the Canucks end. And now I'm not saying Pettersson can't bounce back because there's still years left on it. But I'm just saying it's like the Quinn Hughes bargain. Elias Pettersson, we're early in the contract. We'll see how it looks. But right now, like if you're tying almost $40 million together between four players, it's not going to work. And on top of it, you still have Philip Hronek, who you signed over the offseason as well to keep him with Quinn Hughes, who Philip Hronek right now is not looking like he did last season.
Yeah, that was kind of a ballsy contract to give him.
I get they wanted to keep him around. But at the same time, though, I think they should have just, with how much money he was asking, we said it over the summer, just let him walk. Let him go. Figure out a cheaper replacement because that's what the Florida Panthers did. They let some guys walk on the blue line. They let Ekman-Larsson, Montour walk, and then they got cheaper replacements that were both actually waiver wire. They might have got waived. I don't know.
Now, correct me
No,
if
they were
I'm
buyout. They were
wrong.
buyout candidates. Sorry.
Hronek is Quinn Hughes' D partner, right?
Yes, he is, which is probably mainly part why they kept him because he's their franchise defenseman's partner.
I mean, I think part of the thing too is you're paying Quinn Hughes so little money. I think you maybe can afford to overpay a little bit for his D partner. I don't think it's the worst contract in the world, especially with the cap going to be going up the way it's going to the next few years. And Quinn Hughes is probably going to get 11, 12 million plus in his next contract. I
Oh,
mean, who knows what the numbers are going to
how
be
many
like by
years does
then
he
with the
have
salary
left?
cap. He has 2 after this year.
Yeah, he's getting 13, 14.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they'll get him to an extension literally as soon as possible. But yeah, he's playing on a bargain bin contract right now.
And then you scroll down to the goaltending. By the way, I'm so happy that Demko is back in the lineup. I know he didn't really have a good game in his first game back, but then again, he's coming back from an injury, which at this point he's just gonna have to play through. It's not really like super healable, I guess. Like he's just gonna have to learn how to deal with it. Is what came out during the summer. So right now, I'm expecting Lankinen to take a bulk of the workload and then ease them go into it. Shilovs ended up getting sent down to the AHL, and Shilovs was not good up here, granted. He had a 411 goals against, an 847 save percentage. He just was not it up here, and getting Demko back to lifesaver, even if he's the backup for now because of easing him into it. Lankin is still playing good hockey. You don't need to rush Demko in. It's not an emergency. Let him just be the backup for a bit. Lankinen has a 2.52 and a 9.12 save percentage. He's been absolutely phenomenal for this team, and I think the Canucks are better than what their record indicates. I'm expecting this team to start stringing some wins together and really make it competitive in the Pacific Division at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see. I mean, they won the division last year. They've been kind of up and down all year. We'll see what goes on with Vancouver.
The Calgary Flames. I'm going to stick in the Pacific Division because right now they're falling in the standings. They're falling in the standings. They seem to kind of be falling back into the form of more of a closer to a 500 team. And their last 10, they are 3-5-2, and it's two different tales of a story. They're really, really good at home, really, really bad on the road. They can't find that consistency between either or, and it feels like them being basically carried by their rookie goaltender and Dustin Wolf is not going to be sustainable because he was putting up borderline Vezina candidate numbers. And right now, and they're 33 points. They sit 3 points back of the third spot in the Pacific Division, which is very reachable. But Edmonton right now is kind of on a heater, winning 4 straight games. So we'll see. But it would honestly, I would love to see Calgary. I know I called them the worst team in the league. That's obviously not fucking true. Okay, we're gonna scratch that off the surface now. That's not true. With them not being the worst team in the league, and I was completely wrong. I kind of want to see the teams hang around there, try to make some noise in the Pacific and in the wild card race. And if they don't, it is what it is because you're paying all those guys so much money in Huberdeau and Kadri. Like, at this point, you just want to see production out of them. I know the Calgary Flames, in my opinion, their best interest is to be bad, but you can't afford to be bad because then you're just wasting money on 30 and 31-year-olds to be absolute dog shit, and you can't do that if you're Calgary.
I mean, they got their buds beat yesterday by the Lightning.
What was
Or
the score?
the other Wednesday, I think it was like 8 to. Oh, sorry, that was San Jose. Lost 8-1. The Sharp Lightning.
Oof,
Never mind.
that's rough. That's rough. That's rough.
I,
That's
I,
rough.
I misspoke. Forgive
No,
me.
no, it's okay.
Wait,
I mean,
wait. No.
what's up?
Hold on. I'm stupid. Let me check something. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking. Oh yeah, they did get their. Yeah, they lost 8-3 to the Lightning last night. Yeah, they got their butts beat.
Kucherov had 6 points, I believe, in that game too. He was on an absolute heater.
Yeah, and Gensel had a hattie, I believe.
And this was right after you were talking about Gensel is an absolute dog for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, he is. He was a dog in Pittsburgh. He was a dog in Carolina. He's a great
good
player.
fit. I mean, he's a good fit in Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay is not going to go anywhere either because this is a team where they have so much vet depth. They have a hard trophy candidate in Kucherov. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up in that third spot in the Atlantic Division because right now you have Tampa and Boston 1 point apart from each other. Boston right now is 33 points, but Tampa Bay has the least amount of games played in the entire NHL, only 27. So they have a lot of games in hand on a lot of these teams around them. With Boston, with Florida, with Toronto, they only have 2 games in hand. But still though, Tampa Bay, if they run away with this and win 75% of those games they have in hand, they're in business, is what we're talking. And maybe a lot of people underestimated Tampa Bay. Not saying they weren't a playoff team because they most definitely are, especially in this Eastern Conference, which feels so top heavy, and then the rest of it just seems all like a clusterfuck and absolute mid as hell. So Tampa Bay right now, I mean, they're better than what their record indicates with the plus 26 goal differential, a points percentage of 593. I'm not expecting them to be in the top 2 in the Atlantic Division. I'm not putting those expectations on this team, but there's a reason why this team went to 3 straight cups. Last season, sure, they didn't look the greatest. They still made the playoffs as a wild card 1 team, and I think right now the Tampa Bay Lightning can surprise a lot of people and maybe make a run at things, and maybe come the trade deadline, they're like, screw it, and run the table and then try to make a run at the cup. I don't know. We'll see. They're a veteran-led team, but,
Yeah, Tampa Bay is a team to me, though. I still don't know if they're legitimately cup contenders. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. I mean, weak Eastern Conference, I think, for the most part. You got Tampa and Florida, the clear-cut 2 best teams in that division. I think Tampa's better than Boston, but I don't know if they make it out of the first round, especially if they have to play Toronto or Florida.
I mean, yeah, that's the one thing I'm kind of worried about is Tampa Bay going into the playoffs is going to depend on matchup, and plus their depth is as what we've seen recently, not that good. It's at an all-time low since, I think, 2018, 2019, something around there, because this team is so top-heavy, and I know a lot of that has to do with salary restrictions. You're giving money to Kucherov, Point, Hagel, Gensel, and even Cirelli and Hedman. Those are your top 6 point scorers right now, which you love to see that because most of those guys are at a point per game or just below a point per game, which is what you want to see. But the depth scoring isn't there, and I get you don't need a ton of depth scoring when you have those 6 guys that I just listed off. But all of those guys are going into their 30s if they're not already into your 30s. And at some point, by the way, Kucherov coming off a Hart. No, he didn't win the Hart Trophy. No, it was McKinnon. Excuse me. Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, Kucherov was a finalist.
Kucherov was coming off a finalist of a year. And like this team, if they get into their like if they play Florida or Toronto, they're not winning. If they play New Jersey, I don't think so. Like Carolina, no. Like Boston, I think they can beat, depending on how Swayman's playing. It's all going to depend on goaltending in that series. So we'll see. Tampa's a team that they can go from playoff bubble to a playoff contender come a couple months from now. We will see, but it really depends. Like they're just so top heavy. They're gonna need their top guns on their A game every single night.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Pivoting over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, because right now they've won 6 of their last 8 games. They look absolutely um, better than they have before the start of the season. I know they have some of the most games played in the entire NHL. However, though, this team is kind of hanging around, if that makes any type of sense.
I mean, I
There's
still don't think this team's good, but
what is your definition of good? Like, are we talking like good as in you don't see them sniffing the playoffs, or good as in like they can be above 500, maybe kind of hover?
I think I don't think they're gonna. I still really don't have them in my playoff conversation. I think they're on a hot streak right now. I'm very low on Pittsburgh. I was pretty low on them going into the season. They just have a weird mix of players. Yeah, they've been playing better lately, but is they're playing like this in a month? Okay, well, I'll change my tune. But for now, I'm not really buying into Pittsburgh. I still think they're just on a hot streak. They'll come back down to earth. I don't think this team even sniffs the playoffs. They'll probably have a winning record. They'll probably be around 500, but I don't think they're really going to be in the wild card conversation too much longer.
Well, I'm
I mean, you
not.
can call me a hater.
You're a
It's
fucking
fine.
hater. You're a hater. I'm not saying this team is going to make a run at things like they did with Tampa and run the table, whatever, because they don't even sniff Tampa Bay. But I do think that with how the Eastern Conference is, they will somehow end up hanging around. Hanging around. I don't know how long they're gonna hang around. I don't know if this is just like you said, a hot streak. I don't know if Pittsburgh goes out and pulls what they did last season, and they're this up and down, inconsistent team, and then somehow come March they find themselves in a playoff spot or like 3 points back, and then they fizzle out, whatever it may be. But right now, with how it's looking, they're only 1 point back right now of a play. Sorry, 2 points back right now of a playoff spot behind Philly, which I expect to drop off at some point. Like granted, I get they're behind a team like the Rangers, who the Rangers with the same roster won the President's Trophy last season, and they have Igor Shesterkin, so they can go off at any moment that they would please to. So that's really my only concern in front of Pittsburgh. Um, Outside of Pittsburgh shooting themselves in the foot of not being that team that can get over the playoff line, because I didn't have them in the playoffs. I don't think they're a playoff team. They're going to be a team that's going to hover around the playoff line but not quite get in. I think that's just going to be the story of
I think
Pittsburgh.
they missed the playoffs by at least 15 points.
15 points is crazy. Come on, come on. We got to be more generous than that. 15,
No, I'm a hater, man.
15. You don't even have the team at 500 then. Because I
Uh,
think in the East, the wild card 2 is going to be like 92, 93 points.
yeah, I don't. I think they missed it by at least double-digit points, at
Oh.
least.
Double digits might be.
I mean, it's only 5 more. 15's only 5 more than 10. It's not
That's
too
I
far
know,
fetched.
I know, but like I think Pittsburgh's too good of a team to go out there and just shit the bed.
I don't
Like
think they're good.
like
That's
with
what I'm
Sidney
saying. Their
Crosby and Malkin,
goaltending is dog shit.
but they still have Sidney Crosby and Malkin. Last season, their
They're
goaltending
both
was
almost 40 years
their
old.
their
I respect the
goaltending.
hell out of them. They're legends, but this team doesn't have enough firepower up and down the lineup.
Outside of when Nedeljkovic stole Jari's job last season and went on an absolute heater, the Penguins' goaltending last season was complete dog shit too.
And it's not much better, if at all,
It's the
this
same. It's
year.
the same goaltending, and then you add Bloomquist in there, and that's it. And Bloomquist, frankly, has been the best goalie out of the three. I don't. I mean, he only has 8 games played in a small sample size, but what I've seen him play, what his stats indicate, He right now should be the starting goaltender. I thought Nedeljkovic came into the season, should have been the number one starter, and then Jari came in. Still, I get you're paying him $5 million, so you want him to play and perform up to your expectations, but he's been not good. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But going over to the Rangers right now, I just covered them for a little bit. Right now, they're coming off a win against the Buffalo Sabres, but it's the Buffalo fucking Sabres.
Golf clap, come on.
What? What a win. They're still 3-7 in your last 10, by the way. The Rangers do not look like the same team, even remotely close to how they looked last season. They won the President's Trophy last season. This season, you're a fringe playoff team at this point. With how you're playing, Shesterkin's not saving your ass right now. And you're not getting the firepower that you did last season when Shesterkin started the season off slow. You're not getting production out of Sabanajed or Kreider or any of these guys, or not even really much of Adam Fox. Like, it's Artemi Panarin's show right now, and he's keeping this team afloat right now. And your power play hasn't been as good as last season. Your special teams hasn't been as good as last season. Like, there's something wrong with this team, and I think it's an internal thing. Like, you go ahead and you trade your captain Trouba, and then there's all this stuff about possibly Chris Kreider being moved too. And then Drury comes out and says that the Rangers are open for business. And you're like, okay, maybe this will light a fire under the fucking team. And it doesn't. It doesn't. This team just doesn't change. I don't know if it's a coaching issue with Laviolette. I don't know if it's that. I don't think it's a roster issue. I don't think all of these players just regress one season removed from a President's Trophy out of absolutely nowhere. I think it's more of an internal. It could be a locker room issue for all I know.
I mean, I think it's just a team going through a bit of a rough patch right now. I mean,
This has
outside
been
of
going on all season.
Panarin, I don't know. I think the Rangers will figure it out. I'm not too worried about it. I think Drury was just trying to scare them by saying they're open for business. I mean, there is still a decent chance that Kreider gets moved. They were looking at move. There was rumors of him might being moved in summer. I mean, Trouba was a big rumor all summer as well, and I think he got pretty close to being moved. He just wouldn't waive the no movement clause.
To Detroit, correct.
Yeah, because there was a number of they were kind of all bottom feeder teams, and he decided Anaheim was the best fit for him.
Apparently.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they were just going to release him. So
they were. It was either you waive your no trade clause, you waive your 15-team no trade clause, whatever, or we waive you.
So I guess his opinion was, if I'm going to a bad team, I might as well go somewhere warm.
I mean, I guess Anaheim's not a horrible place to play. They have a young core, and you're going to California, so.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the taxes are much worse than New York City taxes. So.
Yeah, no, not really. It's basically the same place except it's warmer in Cali. So fuck it, why not?
Like, I mean, they do have palm trees, so.
That is how you win hockey games, by the way.
and new roofs.
Oh, and scoreboards too.
I mean, the new scoreboard is nice.
It is nice. I will say. This has nothing to do with the Rangers.
We're making fun of the Buffalo Sabres. So, context, during the offseason, the Sabres had some upgrades to the arena where they put in the new Jumbotron. That was much needed. It was long overdue. And they put in a new roof. And it's kind of a running joke inside Sabres fans that this because the Sabres posted a YouTube video before the season started, and it's titled "This is how we win," and it's a video about them installing the roof, and the senior vice president of the Sabres was saying that the new roof is going to lead them to winning.
That's a joke of an organization.
I mean, out of context, what he was trying to say was like, yeah, we need to start making improvements to the building, and this is how we win long term business wise. And he ain't wrong, but I think it's funny when you just look at that video and you're like, this is how we win. Roof installation progress. And I was like, what are you guys doing?
It's funny. Going back on the Rangers topic though, I think they'll turn it around eventually, but the fact that this has been going all season does have me a little bit worried. Like, the production just isn't there. Like, are you getting what I'm trying to say? Like, I know that you think they'll turn it around and that they're going through a slump right now, but it's almost becoming like scary at this point with this team.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, they have very high expectations. I mean, they won the President's Trophy last year, made it to the conference final. So this team lives and dies by Igor Shesterkin, and if he's not playing at the top of his game, I don't know if this team has a chance. Regardless.
However, though, I think this team, like, I know I just said it's scary with the Rangers and where they are in the standings right now. All this team has to do, though, is get in. Like,
Yeah.
this team isn't worried about, we have to finish first in the East or division or whatever, like, finish top three. Even if they're the second wild card team going into the postseason, we know this team has enough talent to go on a run. And when you have Igor Shesterkin fresh off an $11.5 million extension that kicks in next season, you can go on and win the cup potentially. Do I think they will? No, I don't think they have the team to do it. But also, you never know. You get hot at the right time. You get a hot goaltender, a hot team. You get hot on special teams. Like, anything can happen. And if this team can just start stringing together some sort of winning streak, we're talking about get like 3 wins in a row. That's all it takes. If you can get up another 2 wins to 17, 12, and 1 at least, that starts the snowball effect. You start to instill confidence in your guys, in yourself, in the team, within the organization that, hey, you know what? This season, we can turn things around. We saw what we did last season. Let's get our heads out of our fucking ass and start to play hockey. Let's get down. Let's get to work. Let's get in the dirty areas and just find ways to win hockey games. It doesn't matter how you win hockey games. You just have to go out and win the hockey games.
Well, I know I think the Rangers might have been the last team we had listed, but there's one Eastern Conference team I want to talk about a little about that's surging as well. That's the Philadelphia Flyers.
Fuck that team. No, I'm just,
Why
I'm just kidding.
why are you
I'm
a
just kidding.
Flyers hater?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh no, I'm just kidding. No, it's not. Fuck the Flyers. Don't worry. But yeah, they're playing good. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10. They look good, genuinely.
See, I think the Philadelphia Flyers are a really good example of just playing really good team hockey. Look, they don't have the flashiest guys. They got a lot. They got some grinders, especially in that bottom six. I mean, Matevy Michkov looking like a star already.
Did you see he tried to hit the Michigan against Red Wings?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that with Torch as your coach. I don't
Did
know
you
if he'll
hear
like
what
that.
Torts said about it?
I did not.
So that's the first thing that Torts got asked at his press conference, post-game press conference, as we could have all thought. And when Michkov was doing it a lot earlier in the season, not in like the regular season, but like in practice and stuff, Torts had a talk with him and everything and said that with Michkov's talent, there's a lot smarter plays and better plays that he can make than doing the Michigan. And Torts was like, yeah, he doesn't think it belongs in the game, as we've heard him say multiple times, but also he's not going to take it away from Michkov and this and that. And like
Look at
Michkov's,
Tortorella getting him growing up.
I
Wow.
know, instead of screaming at the kid, he's telling Michkov how much talent he has and that there's smarter and better plays to make. And it just leads to a turnover, is basically what he said. So
John Tortorella is such a great coach, man.
he is. I'm
I
hoping this.
respect the hell out of that guy.
I'm hoping this Flyers start doesn't turn into another let's fall out of the playoffs after the Four Nations break.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think they were probably a little bit better last year in the standings, and then they kind of free fell at the
Last
end of the
season they were
year.
first in the Metro for like most of the first half of the season.
And Travis Seinheim, I think, is having a really good season. A lot of people were questioning why he was on Team Canada for
Yeah,
the
like
Four
what are we
Nations
doing?
Cup. And I believe was one of his teammates. Was it
It was was it fair? It wasn't Farabee, was
it
it?
was Joel Farabee, yeah.
Yes, it
He's
was.
like,
Okay.
have you watch him play? And
Go
I'm like,
off.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Sandheim's a good defenseman. Like, I yeah, I don't really know what people are complaining about with him. He's the Flyers' number one defenseman by far.
I don't know what like. Hold on. Okay. So we're gonna bring up some Travis Sanheim hater stats right here. Okay. Well, I'm gonna bring it up to them. Okay.
You bringing up his charts?
Yeah, like his charts are good. Like he's 62nd overall and 80th in the offensive percentile right now. We're gonna ignore his 21st percentile in defense. But it doesn't matter though, because right now he's third on the team in points. He looks really good. He deserved that Four Nation roster nominee. I don't care what anybody says. I agree with you, Preston. I don't know why so many people were pissed off that he was there. Just watch some hockey, for crying out loud. Not everything is just based on stat sheets, because if that was the case, Evan fucking Bouchard would be on the team. But guess what? He's not. You know what? Everybody that's pissed off, go be the GM of Team Canada.
Yeah,
right?
it's easy. Yeah, they just
Exactly.
let
It's easy.
send in your resume on
Right.
Indeed.com. It's easy.
Right. It's not that hard, guys. Come on now. All you have to do is pick players for the team, and that's
You
it,
could be
right?
like that guy from the who applied for the defensive coordinator job for the Packers. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah,
That's
he applied for a job with the Packers, and for his resume, he put that he had a really good fantasy football team for years. I mean, I don't know how that equates with calling defensive plays, but
that has apps to. Bro, could have used Madden as a better example, dude.
I mean,
Using
I
fantasy
respect
football
it.
is
I
crazy.
respect it.
Using fantasy football is crazy. Yeah, like I know the Flyers are surging right now, and honestly, it's all about getting wins and losses. It doesn't matter
Yep, wins
how.
and losses.
Like
That's all that matters.
their goaltending is kind of shaky, but that's okay. Like you finally have that superstar in Michkov. You have Travis Konechny, who's having a hell of a fucking season, dude. This
Yeah.
dude's gonna put up 90 plus, probably right around 90 points to be exact.
I
So
remember people trying to tell me he was overpaid and he wasn't worth the money that they gave him this summer.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I was one of those people. I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
I immediately called you out and said he's
Yeah, I
worth every
was.
penny.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I didn't think he deserved all of what was it? Was it 7.5?
8.7.
Eight. Yeah, I did not like the 8.7. I thought he should have gotten 7 to 7.5. But right now, he's proven me wrong, and everybody else who said they didn't deserve it. So, I love to see players win. I love to see players win. I can be a generational hater. Preston can be too. But at the end of the day, we want to see players win. Now, when it comes to overall teams, that's a different question, okay? Fuck certain teams, like the Anaheim Ducks, for example, who apparently are the worst team in the NHL.
I mean, not too far off.
um, all right, well, that's going to end it for today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, all of our socials are down below, as well as the subscribe button. If you guys are listening on Apple and Spotify, head over to our YouTube for more exclusive content. We'll see you guys in our next episode.